I know you work
Yes.
for MSG. You cover the Knicks. Now, do you still have that job after such a statement? Are they still paying you?
Did you hear the preface, Ross? The preface was in terms of the expectations. There are expectations, legit expectations, Legs, for the Knicks to build upon the season that they had last year. Whereas the Bulls, a little bit more like house money is all I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
You've done all your qualifying statements.
She gave us some context. It just takes context.
There you go.
Yeah, we got Monica McNutt here, Tim Legler here. All right, guys. Let's think about the future. All right, both teams have a core. Which core has a better chance at a title in the next 5 years? Monica, what's your answer?
All right. In the next 5 years, I'm going with the New York Knicks. And there's a couple of reasons why for me, Legs. I think that they have continuity, obviously, with Tibbs. I think they've got young stars that I'm looking forward to in the next 5 years taking the jump. I understand that right now, Derrick Rose is a huge part of what this team does in terms of commanding that second unit. 5 years, okay, we'll see what happens. But I look at a guy like Emmanuel Quickley, who now has the opportunity to learn under the tutelage of both Kemba and Derrick. And if he can slow the game down, right? I know that he can hit from behind the arc. He's got a terrific floater. He has the potential to defend. If he can slow the game down, I think he can be a very solid guard/two guard in this league. Then I'm looking at a guy like R.J. Barrett, who's gotten off to a rocky start. But if you look at year 1 and year 2 for him, he has made the leaps linear or has built up each year in terms of where he can be. And I like Evan Fournier. I think Evan Fournier now has an opportunity to be the guy for this organization. And I think the youth that they have, that core to me, I just think there's something there. You throw in a little bit of Obi Toppin, who to me, if he really decides to hang his hat on the defensive end and then just be that beautiful gazelle that runs the floor and gets those easy baskets, really can carve out a great spot for himself in this league. So I just think they have the young pieces in place. They've got a coach that I'm fairly confident isn't going anywhere, and so I think they're in a position to build.
I love every aspect of that analysis. Now, look.
Okay.
Let's be clear here. When we talk about these two teams, I don't think we need to worry about planning any parade routes just yet.
Okay.
When we start talking about titles, but
I don't know. Don't tell Knicks fans that.
When you talk about relevance,
okay,
relevance in the short term, it's the Knicks. It's the Knicks, and I think she's right. They built a formula last year. They're a tough team. They're a tough-minded team. Guys have grown offensively. Now, what they didn't have last year, and they were exposed in the Atlanta series, if Julius Randle struggled offensively, how are we going to win? How are we going to put up a number that's going to give us a chance? Well, they addressed it. They got Kemba Walker. They got Evan Fournier. And some people thought Evan Fournier, like he got beat up the way he played in Boston. It was so obvious he was just a fish out of water, trying to get out of the way of the two forwards. He just never found his lane. They brought him in here for a reason. They've empowered him. This is the Evan Fournier that we saw in Orlando for years. He's a proven scorer. This is a 17 to 20 point every night scorer, efficient. Kemba Walker obviously is a big game player. I think one guy you left out, you covered their roster beautifully. I think a key is keeping Mitchell Robinson on the floor. He has to be healthy.
Yes.
Because I think he has a chance to be one of the top 5 rim protectors in the NBA if he can stay on the floor. He's had an issue with that. His growth, also a key part of this, and the electricity right now in the Garden. There is nothing like it in the league.
Electric.
When it's like this is the best atmosphere in all of basketball. So they've got that as well. So I'm with you. I like the Knicks a lot.
Now, Monica, last season the Knicks were a 4 seed out of the East, right? And a lot of people feel like, it'll be really hard for them to repeat that this season. A lot of the teams in the East got better. So in some ways, could you say, have the Knicks hit their ceiling as far as potential? I mean, how much better could you see them being in the short term?
It's interesting, Roz. I don't think you can answer that question fairly with a lump sum answer. You're going to have to look at each category. Is this team going to regress defensively this year, Legs? Yes, probably. They will not be as stout a defensive unit. Will they still be a good defensive team? Yes. But in the exchange for that, I got Evan Fournier, whose three-point ball is just as pure as they come. I've got Kemba, who is does a tremendous job of pushing pace and can get this team out of some of the stagnant ruts that we saw at points last year. So, in terms of their ceiling, no. But I do acknowledge, and I think you got to be honest about some of the fortuitous bounces that they took advantage of last year as different Eastern Conference squads were dealing with COVID. Miami's back. I think Boston's going to figure it out. I think Indiana is a team that you have to watch in the East. However, what I loved from last year that you can't quantify statistically is the trust that they developed with one another and their coaching staff. And if you listen to guys like Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel, even Derrick Rose, who have been with Tibbs along his journey, this is almost a new version of Tibbs.
Yeah.
A guy that has an ear for his players, in terms of their legs in practice, like he's smiling more. There's a little bit more of a dialogue. So I even think that Tibbs has grown coming off of that Coach of the Year award.
He has, and I think for me, when I look at this team and I look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, like who's a proven commodity right now? Milwaukee clearly is. Miami, I agree. Miami's a top 4 team. There's no doubt in my mind. After that, you've got a whole lot of messes to figure out right now. Philadelphia, what is going to happen? What's their ultimate roster going to look like with this Ben Simmons situation? How does it play out? Brooklyn's in the same boat with Kyrie Irving and James Harden right now showing you some effects of the hamstring and also the rule changes. They've got to figure things out. That's why, for me, the Bulls, the Knicks, and Boston, they're right in the mix of that. So would you be shocked if the New York Knicks ended up with a home playoff series in the first round? I would not be shocked by that. But I think 4 through 6 is going to be their lane, somewhere in there, because there's too many question marks with some of these teams at the top right now.
Absolutely, and me being from Queens, I wouldn't be mad at seeing
No.
them
Come
start
on now,
at
New
home.
York
Okay,
stands out.
Queens.
Come on. Also, do you really think the rule changes are affecting James Harden? We need to talk about that offline.
Yeah, I do, actually.
I don't buy it.
No. I think.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.